Coach, what makes Bryson Daly a tough matchup?
Well, he's smart. He's got moxie. He has command of the offense. He's got patience with the football. Strong lower body, good ballast. You need to wrap him up. You need to get multiple hats to the ball. So, utmost respect for him and how they're executing on offense, and obviously a big challenge for us this week.
And then a lot of people talk about the changes Army and Navy make in their triple option attack. Can you give a couple examples of some of those simple changes?
No, I just think it's different. I said to the staff on Sunday, if we think it's Navy Part 2, it's not. It's a different animal. Just their structure, their formation structure, their running style, the way they utilize different components. So I can't get too much into detail, but they do an excellent job. But it is quite different from Navy, and it's going to take all week. It's going to take all week. We had a good start today. We got to dig in, grade the tape tonight, meet on it in the morning, and move forward.
Coach, let's move to the pass offense. What have you seen from their pass offense this year?
The pass offense?
Yeah, for Navy.
Yeah, I think Daly does a good job getting the ball down the field. Obviously, 87 has been a tough. He catches the ball really well, and I think more than anything, their offense has shown patience, waiting for the right look, waiting for the right opportunity to go over the top and get an explosive. So, they've had a bunch of deep balls, so it's something that obviously we're aware of, and something that we have to have great vision on all week, eye discipline. So that will be a challenge for us.
A couple of years ago, we were asking you weekly why you guys weren't able to get turnovers, and you guys now are leading the nation in forced turnovers. What's allowed this defense to be so good in that department?
Well, we just have a lot of guys that have bought in. Coaching staff does a great job. Seabass quality controls it for us and does the presentation on Friday. So it's basically one of the last things that our guys see. And it's like anything else, the standard comes from within the room, and the standard for the seniors and the leadership is high, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And, we're still mad about the ones that, maybe we need another hat to the ball earlier in the year to get on some of those. So I think we have the right mentality. Obviously, this is going to be a great challenge because they don't turn it over. So we're going to have to work like crazy and really be cognizant of it on Saturday night.
They've scored on the opening drive every single game so far this season. What makes them so good in particular on the opening drive?
Execution. It's really quite simple, right? They don't go backwards. They execute really well. They play fast. And you have to match. It doesn't matter who you play. You have to match that tempo, that speed. And obviously you have to be assignment sound. You can't give them an explosive play. I think it was, I don't want to be incorrect, but maybe it was UAB, started with a, penalty, 1st and 5, second play, counter for a big play. So, you have to be ready to go from the jump and you have to settle in really, really quickly.
Coach Freeman talked about in practice when you guys are getting those reps in, him not sometimes being able to just disturb maybe the defense and maybe just teaching at that point, but sometimes you or Denbrock want to continue to let the guys make those mistakes and go through the progression. I guess what's the balance there as a defensive coordinator to let the guys make the mistakes and then learn from it?
Yeah, I've always been big on empowerment, just the self-efficacy of going through that process and being able to determine for yourself, was this correct or not? And more than anything, I've never believed in being on the field and making the calls for them, making the corrections for them. Empower them to make a decision. Indecision kills defenses, and you cannot be indecisive when you play this operation. So everybody's different. Again, that's always been my philosophy where I've been on defense is you believe in the young man. You teach them how to make a decision. You empower them, and then they have to do it on the grass. If they don't make a decision, it's almost impossible to correct. But you can correct a decision, get them to the sideline and say, hey, that was pretty good. good job covering it, good job, handling your man. Next time, think about doing this. I think that's way more effective in this day and age because it is a challenge every week on offense.
One more. Is there any player in particular that you have seen be that coach on the field?
X. Yeah, Jack Kaiser, I've said that a million times, but I think the biggest difference in X's game from last year to this year is exactly that. Just making more decisions, being more audible and demonstrative on the grass, and having the confidence to do it. And some guys, when they're young, they stand back here and they yell and they hope you hear it. If you don't acknowledge X, he's going to run down there, move you where he needs to move, and get back to the post or get back to the half or whatever it is that defense calls for.
After a productive game for Jayden Harrison, is there a way to get him more involved without decreasing a role of Jaden Greathouse?
Yeah, I believe so. It was nice to see him kind of break loose a little bit. Whether that was a result of an unfortunate happening to Greathouse or not, it was great to see him. He's worked really hard. He's put himself in a position to continue to expand his role, and it was great to see him get rewarded on Saturday for that.
And then you've talked about the slot fade with the RPO at the goal line where the tight end goes to the flat. Why is that such an effective play for you guys?
Yeah, I think it puts the defense in conflict. And, when you have a quarterback who can use his feet and make plays, you have very talented running backs, and you have a third option in the flat that you can spit the ball out to if they're overplaying either one of the first two. That becomes a pretty hard play to defend and makes us pretty versatile at the same time.
Army is one of the best rush defenses in the country. How are you game planning against that?
Yeah, I mean, they do a tremendous job of, using their personnel and moving people around and changing gap fits and, making it difficult on teams to run the football. I think, they've also been helped by the fact that, they've been ahead in a lot of games and they've made teams play catch up. So number one, we got to be able to start fast. I mean, they're really good in the first quarter of the game at jumping out the leads. We got to do our part offensively to make sure we stay on the field and score points. And then we're built around the run game. So finding ways to do that are effective against the things that they do that cause you problems is going to be a big challenge.
And they're known for taking up a while on offense and kind of limiting possessions. Does that affect the way that you kind of call a game against a team like that?
Yeah, I think it can for sure. I remember a few years ago we played the other academy. Which I'm not supposed to say that probably on Army week, but we ended up with 6 total possessions for the entire game. And I think last week they limited, or the week before, since they were on a bye last week, North Texas to maybe 4 or 5 possessions for the entire game. So we got a lot of faith in our defense. Those guys are tremendous. They've carried us all year. Hopefully we can pay them back on Saturday by scoring some points.
Coach, how do you fix the roles that you guys have often had in the first half? There's been just long stretches where you guys have not been able to really move the ball. How do you get those areas of the game going? Yeah,
you got to stay out of third and long. You got to quit grabbing people where you're not supposed to grab them, whether that's the face mask or your hands outside the framework. We can't play good offensive football with 4 3rd and 16 or more in a row. And I don't care what offense you are, you're not going to be very effective if you put yourself in those situations. And those were self-inflicted wounds that we can certainly correct with the way we're teaching technique, with the way we're playing, with the discipline that we're playing with. And we're going to make sure that we get those things corrected this week. That's the number one thing that helps you stall out and not be as effective, is get behind the sticks and get in a situation where there ain't a whole lot of choices about what you can necessarily do to be effective.
Speaking of the offense kind of going through those issues with the penalties, to see the defense, help pick you guys up at that point in the game in the first half and the second quarter, what was the mindset behind trying to strike fast after the defense was able to come up with those stops?
Yeah, I think the big thing was you just got to make sure, you're putting your offense in a position where you're going to get points off of the great play that the defense has provided you. I mean, the field position that they gave us the ball at in the first half of the game was unbelievable, and we were very fortunate to be able to capitalize on a lot of those and put our football team in a position where, we were moving towards being successful. And so, I mean, there's nothing like the defense creating the havoc that our defense creates, obviously, and it makes the life on offense a little bit easier for sure.
And what do you, as a coaching staff, what do you say to your team when you go in there at halftime and you kind of give a speech? And what's the message to them to play better, or the fact that maybe the defense bailed you guys out a little bit?
Yeah, let's start getting out of our own way a little bit. And, we got a lot of talented players on the offensive side of the ball that we need to make sure not only we get involved, but we got to give those guys a chance to make plays by not limiting our possessions, by making mistakes that are self-inflicted, and we got to play cleaner football all the way around. If we do, if we stop stopping ourselves, we're pretty hard to stop.
And you've seen a lot. That's one real quick. You've seen a lot of football teams, and maybe you can answer this, maybe you can't. But Army, does who they play make them more or less of an opponent for you all this week? Maybe because they haven't played an opponent this week.
Not at all. I mean, they're 9-0 this season. I think they're maybe running on 13 in a row or more. I mean, that's a football team that knows how to win. They know who they are. They know how to attack a football game as a team, and obviously have been very successful doing it. So this is a huge challenge for us, and look forward to it on Saturday.
Marcus has kind of talked about handling success all year. What's kind of your message with James this week coming off a big performance?
Just, consistency would be the biggest thing. I thought he had a really good game. He really focused on a couple key points that we tried to give him, trying to just get him to narrow in, and so really just try and be able to perform. And I thought he did a really good job. Still left a little bit out there, and we want to be greedy, but I think for him now it's building off of it. He had a pretty good day of practice today, so just Thursday was probably one of the best practices he had since being here in terms of just overall consistency. Then you kind of see it show up on Saturday, and had another good day today, so just trying to stack days.
And then have you guys heard back from the ACC yet on the big plan?
We have not. I have not, and so just what as Coach Belichick says, on to Cincinnati, so we'll just, it was fun. It was great to watch those guys celebrate Coach Free and on Monday as a team, and, hats off to those guys. And so just it's more of a responsibility that we got to make sure we take all the gray out of any indecision.
When you put that much effort into a play and it's successful, and then all of a sudden you see that yellow flag come out, what goes through your body at that moment?
More than anything, it's frustration that you just hated for the players, because they had bought in and worked so hard on it for so long, and so you're quickly just trying to process through your head, okay, is there anything that that from a rule standpoint that you feel like wasn't clear or concise. And so again, they made a ruling, and that's what it was.
Taking away the ruling as the play's happening, or maybe as you guys are deciding to go for it, what's going through your mind as, okay, this is going to work? Like how confident were you as you guys are ready to snap the ball that, this we got it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when we call those plays, a lot of people will call them trick plays, but I feel like we've executed, it so many times. I just honestly see it as another play. And so it's a thought process of, I know what the result's going to be, whether we end up on top 10 or not top 10 can be, just a few little fundamentals. But in general, we take a lot of pride as a staff, as a team, and the players do, of when we're going to run a play like that we feel like, okay, this is just another play because we've repped it so many times.
How eager were you, or even the players, to get back to the drawing board and say, all right, let's figure out what else we can do to, I guess, come up with what we call a trick play?
Yeah. We carry them. We have a good amount of them, and so we just feel like looking at the scheme and the opponent, and are there certain things throughout the week or even weeks leading up that we feel like can help give us an advantage, and so then it's just about the right fit, and so it's kind of funny because, Coach Freeze talked about we've had that for, several. It's been up for a couple of weeks, and we've been doing a staff Bible study, and it's been in James and talking about patience. And so we've all every week are like, all right, but I appreciated that we didn't force it, because it has to be the right time and the right situation. So it just speaks to the level of Coach Free, really being dialed in on all facets on game day.
He also talked about how he doesn't want you to stop coming up with those type of opportunities for the team, and that he encourages it because you are such a bright mind when it comes to drawing up plays. How much does it mean to have a guy like that? I know you kind of just talked about it, but how much does it mean to have a head coach that believes in you and he's all for it, 10 toes down on you coming up with those type of
I mean, it means a lot. Because he's constantly always pushing us, just as coaches and the players, to just, keep trying to be outside the box, to push it to our limit. And so, again, it's sometimes he'll look at me like, wait a second, is this real? But for the most part, once we are able to discuss it and talk through it, he'll quickly decide yay or nay, and then it's go time. So,
Riley, what makes the RPO that you guys run at the goal line so effective for you guys?
Oh, that's a good question. Dang. Shoot. I don't know, but it is. I think we do a good job of selling the run with our run fakes, and getting our offensive line to have their first step really downhill, really sell the run, and then I'm able to make a quick decision off these safeties or whatever it may be. I don't know. We've been punching it in though. It's been working.
And then what's just this whole Notre Dame experience kind of been like for you, playing bigger games and then now being in a college football playoff race?
Yeah, it's really cool. I think the coolest thing is we're in November now, getting to late November, and you're in control of your destiny. It's something I haven't been able to experience. And every day you kind of wake up and you're like, wow, this is cool. You have that motivation and that extra urge to go above and beyond, and go the extra mile, because everything we want is right in front of us, and we're in control of our destiny. So it's really cool. And just the Notre Dame experience overall, I feel like every day I wake up and I've realized something happens and it's whoa, this is really cool. I haven't experienced it before. So it's been really cool to have.
With this Army defense, what have you been noticing?
Yeah, I noticed a lot of guys that are very disciplined, hard-nosed guys, as you would expect. But they do a lot of different things defensively, particularly in the back end. They'll show up in some different fronts as well. But you can expect a lot of different things and a lot of rotation on the back end. They're not just going to show their cards pre-snap and run base too high, cover 4 shell like a lot of teams that we face have done.
And then as a mobile quarterback yourself, I'm curious what your thoughts are on Bryson Daly, if you've been able to see any of his highlights or any of his games.
Yeah, he's a dog. Yeah, I'm very aware of who he is, and he's not scared to tote the rock, so I respect it a lot.
When you, a couple weeks ago after the Florida State game, you talked about you guys being able to, as offense, to flip the switch, but at the same time, you guys have to figure out how to not have those lulls. And obviously, those lulls continued last week. How do you guys take that next step as an offense to prevent that first half lull from happening?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that the defense stopped us in any way last week. I mean, penalties, we were just behind the chains most of the drives. Any drive we weren't behind the chains, ended up in a pretty successful drive. We just got to be a little bit more disciplined, clean up some things. I mean, when you get a couple penalties on critical situations, you get into 3rd and long. It's hard to convert. So we got to do a better job overall, just keeping it clean, keeping a clean game, and getting 4 yards at a time. I think the first play of the drive is extremely important. When you see us get positive 3-4 yards in the first play of the drive, get us going, that's when the drives start to develop. We start to get our rhythm. We mixed in some tempo there that worked a little bit. But yeah, just playing clean football. And, it maybe indicated that we were, 3-and-out punt, but, some things happen that are kind of unnatural, and we'll get them fixed.
There were 2 more. Well, in that game against, in the last game rather, you didn't maybe run the ball as much as you have all season. Mm-hmm. Was that by design? Was that an opportunity to pass the ball and get some confidence in your receivers and your tight ends?
Yeah, like I always say, I never go into a game wanting to force my legs and force the run on the opponent. It kind of just comes naturally. If I need to do that, I can do it. I think last game was a game where I could stay healthy, stay clean, stay in the pocket, and beat them in the passing game. And that's kind of what we did whenever we got the opportunity. It was good. I feel a lot better this Tuesday than I have all year, so that's a really good feeling. I'm able to walk, so it felt good.
You're talking about being in November, kind of controlling your own destiny. You haven't been here before. What's that do for you mentally? Do you notice any changes in how you prep and maybe just the lack of pressure, or maybe there's more pressure because you haven't been in this situation before?
Yeah, as the season develops and all these cool things start happening to us, and everybody wants to talk about the postseason. For me, it's just like I get more and more confident every week because of the preparation that I've been putting in, and nothing really changes. I mean, the preparation is just snaps in this offense. Obviously, I keep talking about it, but I started this thing in August, really. So just every single week, I'm getting better and more confident in this offense. So the pressure is starting to ease off the more reps I get.
Xavier, 2 weeks ago, we talked about you blocking out the noise and leading the team to block out the playoff noise. I guess 2 weeks later, how do you kind of feel like you guys have done that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just our kind of the mindset that Coach Freeman kind of talks about to us every day. Even the entire coaching staff is kind of just like, everything in this building is the only thing that really matters. I mean, like you said, all the noise, the playoff rankings, all that stuff. It don't matter at the end of the day, kind of just doing what we need to do, and then it all, like I said before, just all hitting out. It'll all play out how we need to play out.
And then Rod's probably not talked about enough on defense. What has he kind of brought to the table?
Yeah, Rod's been a very good addition. He's very mature. He's, veteran guy. He's played a lot of ball. So just having, another, mature guy in the room who's, he's physical, he can make a lot of plays, he can cover. So just having him has been a great addition.
As you look at this Army offense and quarterback Bryson Daly, what did you kind of notice in his preparation?
Yeah, they're very physical, I would say. 13, like I said, Bryson Daly, he's a very good player. He's aggressive. He's, like I said, physical runner. And just their whole team as a unit is very physical. They're going to play very downhill. It's a little different than Navy. Navy, they get more on the edge, I'd say. But this team is kind of going to be more like downhill. So it's kind of what the difference is, what we're preparing for.
Moments ago, Coach Golden was asked who's someone who's stepped up as a leader, and I don't even know if he gave a half a second of thought, but yelled X immediately. And he said that's part of your game that you've stepped up in the most. Mm-hmm. Where do you feel like you've grown in that area as a leader on the field in terms of kind of directing your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this, a while ago. Just my whole reason, kind of just coming back in the spring to. One of the things I worked on in the spring was, being vocal on the field, calming everyone down, letting everyone know, that I know my job, and if they need help, knowing, slip-ups happen in the game, so people forget their job, just being able to communicate with them, just calm everyone down. So.
And then, obviously, you guys have done a great job of blocking out the noise. At the same time, with 2 games left, does it help being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel to know, okay, we're closer and we just have to continue to do what we're doing? Does that help in any way?
Yes and no. I mean, you can obviously look at it and be like, all right, yeah, we got 2 more games. It's getting close to the end, and you need to fully lock into what's coming up next. But at the same time, you don't want to look too far ahead of the future. There's still 2 weeks left of football, and anything can happen. So that's why I kind of, like I said, Coach Freeman just blocking out the noise and focus on what we need to do right now. So preparing for Navy, and then next week we'll go from there.
Kind of piggybacking off what Hans said, as far as you being more vocal this season, was being recognized on the national level kind of push you to be more vocal? Did it kind of push you to be more vocal when you decided to come back in the spring? And did it at all give you that confidence to say, this is something I want to, test out with the team this year?
Not really. I mean, just myself as a person. I mean, I didn't need national recognition or anything like that. So, I want to push myself to, be more vocal and on and off the field. So I don't think I needed that. I mean, it's just kind of just wanted to be better for myself as a person and as a better teammate. So.
And being out there with the young guys, man, how I guess what does it mean to be able to push them and then see them respond to, you kind of pushing them to the next level, guys like Adon, snagging in interceptions as well like you did last year?
Yeah, it's something really cool to see them, like a like I said, they're younger guys, so like give him someone like a Don, since he's been here since I've been here, he's been a freshman, and just seeing him, proceed to, get better every week, and just all the way back to camp and all that stuff, just getting better every week is just something really cool to see.
And how important is it for you all to not recognize Army as Navy 2.0 at this point, this part of the season?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're two completely different teams. They're both very talented. This Army team is very talented, and so, every team's going to be different. You can't put those two together. I mean, they might come out and do something completely different against us, but, just respecting our opponent, preparing the right way will all pay off, and so we'll see on Saturday.
Rod, you played in some pretty good defenses at Northwestern, 10 games in. I guess, what's your thoughts on this defense, and I guess, is it fun to play in Coach Golden's defense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why I came here. Coach Golden, he's put together a great defense. I think all the coaches, Coach Mick as well. And we have a lot of great talent as well, so it's definitely something special we have here.
And then what's it kind of been like you playing in meaningful games in November with a lot on the table?
It's just, the same old, really. I mean, the focus is just executing and, playing to the standard, and, whoever's in front of us, that's who the opponent is, and we're going to take care of it.
What has this experience overall been like for you to be here and be a part of this defense?
It's been a great experience. I've learned a lot being here. Just the way things operate here, and just really the standard. I'm going to say the standard a whole bunch of times. I know Coach Free talks about the standard all the time, but I think that message is very pertinent, very strong here, and I really appreciate how everything is so detail oriented, and yeah.
How has that helped you grow as a player?
It's been for me as a player, just coming in every single day and just focusing on my job and where I need to execute, and taking everything seriously, whether it's the meetings, taking notes, watching film, practice, etc. So it's definitely helped me grow and kind of build that professional mindset and mentality.
Right. I know you all talk about blocking out the outside noise, especially this late in the season, but you guys are human at the end of the day. When you find yourself dipping into the outside noise, I guess, how do you, as an individual and as a collective, get out of that outside noise?
I mean, I'm not really big into the outside noise. I'm, simple, keep the main thing, and I just focus on coming in every day and getting my job done. So the outside noise is going to always be there. That's just what it comes with, being in the part of a winning program. But at the end of the day, we kick off every Saturday. So, and having team glory and winning that and, executing on that day is, what's the most important. So everything that we do during the week is focused on that, and, that's where I mainly just keep my focus.
Talking about getting your job done, focusing on team glory. You've been a guy that's, been asked to move around a little bit because you can. How have you been able to adapt to Golden's defense while just shifting around when needed?
Just being a student of the game, just picking up on little tips and tricks, and just applying myself. Like coming here, I knew I was going to be asked to move around and do different things, because of my capabilities to do that, and I just every single day just focus on just trying to execute and learning as much as learning the defense to where I can play fast and execute. So moving around is just a part of the game, and it is what it is. But I enjoy it though.
Not to dim the light on your former teammates at Northwestern, but I mean, what's the difference as far as athleticism or whatever the case may be? Facing these guys, playing with this defense, and then going against this offense with a guy like Leonard?
I just think just the environment in general, it's not to compare it to Northwestern, because I still have former teammates that play there, and they are doing their thing, and but just being here and just experiencing really the standard. It's the same thing again. Just experiencing what that means and how that looks and how everybody buys into it. It's really something special, and it's something that if you buy into it, you know, it's going to inevitably help you elevate your game. So just being in that type of environment where coaches are going to push you hard and they're demanding the best from you, you know, they're not going to demand anything less from you. They want, you know, you to execute at the highest level that you possibly can. So just being in that environment every single day and, you know, everything being so detailed, it's always going to, you're always going to grow in that type of environment. So I do enjoy it.
Jayden, what's kind of allowed you to stay locked in and ready for your moment like you got on Saturday?
Staying in the moment, winning the moment, reload, and always locking into the preparation. Because everybody is needed. Coach Freeman always say everybody is needed, from starters all the way down to the scouts to everybody that's on staff. So everybody's needed, so that's what keeps me right.
And then what's just kind of this month been like for you, being in a playoff race, playing in some big games at the end of the year?
I'm just staying, going from week to week, day to day. I don't focus on too much of the future.
How tough was seeing that flag come out?
It was a little tough, but I knew that my teammates would make something happen. Like, what was that? We had the punt call back, and then the defense came out, pick. So, yeah.
How wild was that whole period of time? I mean, obviously you have the big one, then the punt goes back, and like you said, then the defense comes through and you guys score. How wild was that last 6 minutes that happened?
It really fired us up. Really, it was a different type of energy. Like, yeah, it's just hard to explain. It was a different type of energy on the sideline, and I feel like that's what brought out like the chain of events, like the pick, then the score, and then I think we ended up scoring again after that. So.
Jayden, what's the difference in this team maybe from the beginning of the year to now as far as maybe confidence? At the beginning of the year, you're not really sure where you're going to be at this point in the season, but now you're here, and I guess what's the mindset, what's the difference in the approach?
There's really no difference. We every week we come back and we figure out a way to get better. Coach Freeman talked about the meeting yesterday. Why, like, focus on the whys. Good play, bad play. Focus on the whys and get better and elevate every week. So that's been our mindset.
And being able to catch balls from this guy and block for him, how dynamic is he of a quarterback, and how much easier does he make their job?
Yeah, he makes my job easy, and sometimes he gets out of things you least expect, and you have to turn around and become a blocker.
What's the experience like of going up against Army for you?
My family connection, and then obviously my connection serving in the military. Served with a lot of officers who graduated and commissioned from West Point, starting at my initial infantry basic officer leader course to when I concluded my service in Germany. There were West Point officers everywhere I was. So that's my first thoughts. There's that connection. Just a lot of people I know, including my older brother, graduated from school there. So there's some special connections that way.
Does that make the want to be able to be in there for the game that much stronger for you for this one?
It's already pretty much as high as it can be. We have 2 more regular season games left to write our destiny with the postseason, so that's about as high as it needs to be. I don't need to make it any more about myself than it needs to be.
How many phone calls and I guess text messages are you getting going into this game? Whether they're checking on you or just trying to hype you up.
Not too much right now, but maybe after this interview, maybe more as things get closer to the game. But hopefully, it's always positive messages and I don't misspeak like I already have. So yeah, I can't say too much so far.
And I guess the anticipate, that your feelings will change once you get out there to the East Coast, once you see an Army out there, just being in that environment?
Sure, yeah, potentially. I mean, it's a really cool game for us to be playing in Yankee Stadium. It's a home game. It's the Shamrock Series. So we'll see how it goes, yeah.
You made the tackle on a kickoff a couple games ago. Take us through that How much do you like to rewatch them?
I haven't since we watched film because it's like one game to the next. But I'm thankful. Sometimes things work out in weird ways, but I thought I was going to be a college quarterback. Got moved to safety my junior year of high school, so that's where I really learned to tackle. So then a decision that happened, more than a decade ago, plays out on a football field in a big college football game. So it's pretty cool to see how that kind of comes full circle.